Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about Edge of Paradise and their latest album, Universe, out November 8 on Frontiers Music. This album has 10 tracks, 36 minutes in length, and this is the band's third full-length studio album. This album blends several metal genres into one melodic metal pot. The main spinal cord of the record, in my opinion, is definitely symphonic metal. That is, to me, the main DNA, the main course, if you will, as far as the musical aspect of this album is concerned. Having said that, you feel there's other influences at play. Some songs have a more industrial feel, some have a more electronic metal sound, and then some have more of a straightforward heavy metal feel to it. So there's a lot of different things at play, there's a lot of different influences at play as far as the overall sound of this record is concerned, but keeping the spinal cord of symphonic metal all the way through. The album, in my opinion, has two main staples: Margaritas Vocals and the overall melody that the album has to offer. To me, these are two constant factors that never waver throughout the whole record. Everything around it changes, not those two elements. The overall structure of the album is one that's very fluid, with abrupt changes on a track-by-track basis, giving the album very different style songs, very different feel tracks from one to the next. There's no consistency as far as that aspect is concerned, so that makes for a very fluid and volatile record as far as the sound is concerned. You have an album that starts off with a more symphonic song in Fire, a more powerful symphonic track, and then it changes on a dime and changes on song-by-song basis, and then it finishes off with an instrumental track called Burn the Sun that has some even proggy elements to it. So this beginning and this end really gives you a full spectrum of what you're going to get as far as the overall structure and sound of this record is concerned. One that just constantly changes. I felt that the overall structure is one that, like I said, changes on a song-by-song basis, but then when you look at the individual tracks, they seem to have more of a consistency as far as the overall structure is concerned. So the way they built each single song is very similar. The style in which they created the sound of the songs is what it changes. So that creates a very interesting dynamic as you go through the album. Now, going back to the more consistent components of the record, I really want to start with Margaritas Vocals, because I really feel that, to me, it's one of the highlights of this record. Her vocals are absolutely phenomenal on the album. She's very consistent from the first to the last track. You never feel like she's struggling with a specific song. She's just very steady, very composed, track after track after track. I also like what they did with her voice. In songs that have more of an electronic feel or even an industrial base to it, they change her vocals ever so slightly to give it more of an electronic or an industrial vibe to it, to really match the mood, the tempo, the atmosphere that those songs have. Songs that are more symphonic in nature, they kept it more straightforward. They allowed her voice to be more natural. So I really like that aspect of using her voice as an added instrument and really change it ever so slightly, but change it in order to meet the needs of the specific songs. So to me, her vocals overall is definitely one of the highlights of the album, and if you're interested in checking this album on that alone, I highly recommend you check out this record. On the other side is the other main component that I mentioned was the melody. The melody on this album is present on every single track. It really doesn't matter what the influences are. It doesn't matter if the track is more industrial, if it's more electronic, or if it's just a straightforward symphonic track. You're going to get melody regardless. The song is going to be very melodic in nature. It's going to have a lot of melodic components, and that to me is one of the main staples of the album overall. I like what they did with the melody. They never took it away on any single track, regardless of what the influence was. They just changed the way it sounded. They changed the way it came at you. In some cases, it comes more from the guitars. In some cases, more from the vocals. And in other cases, more from the synthesizer and the electronic components that the songs have. But the melody is always there. It's just a matter of which kind of melody is predominant on each individual track, depending on the mood, on the style, on the overall approach that they gave to that song. I really like the industrial influences that they put on the record. To me, it added a different feel to the album. It made the album a little bit more thicker, a little bit more robust, a little heavier in some cases. To me, the only negative, if I have one negative to point out on this record, is perhaps the electronic side was a little bit overused, in my opinion. To me, I felt more connected with the symphonic driven tracks, less connected to the electronic tracks. I just felt they used it and they abused it a little bit. To me, the strength on this album is really the symphonic elements that it has to offer, and I just almost wish they had concentrated more on that and less on the electronic elements. Having said that, the album is still strong enough, is still good enough that didn't make me want to turn it off when I was listening to it. So that is the best thing I can say about it. That overall is a very strong record, overall is a very well-crafted record, and overall is a record that really shines on Margaritas vocals. She's really one of the highlights of the album, as I mentioned before. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I decided to pick 3 songs. They're not necessarily my favorites, but 3 songs that offer something different to the listener. I want to start off with Electrify, the second song on the album, a song that has a little bit of more of that electronic sound coming in from the first track of the album, Fire. That one was way more symphonic in nature. This one I feel has a lot more electronic components in it. It still has the symphonic bass line. That's still the main spinal cord of the song, but it just adds a lot more electronic sound to it. This is a song that has really a distinct nature between the verses and the chorus, and the verses are more melodic. The chorus is a lot more robust, still has a lot of melody, but it feels more intense, more robust. The chorus is really catchy. The melody that surrounds it really impacts the vocal performance and the lyrics of the chorus, making it really, making the chorus really the heartbeat of this song. I really love the chorus, and that's really what attracted me to this song. Next is Hollow, one of the tracks on this album that is almost 100% an electronic metal track. It almost has a little bit of a Combi Christ feel to this specific song. It's really predominant. The main feel, the main DNA of this track is really electronic sound, and that's obvious from the moment it starts all the way to the moment it ends. The song has a great dynamic. The vocals have different approaches. That's something that I really enjoyed about this song that added something different, is depending on which moment of the song you're in, the verses, the chorus, they change the vocal approach ever so slightly by adding more electronic components to the way the vocals sounded, or removing them. So that to me was a very cool approach that they took as far as the vocals are concerned. It allowed them to mingle and mix a lot better with the overall sound that the song had to offer. The chorus is really powerful and vibrant. The vocal performance overall is really incredible, is really strong, and it really blends well with the rest of the song. I really like after the second chorus, the vocals that come right after the chorus are really strong, and I like the way they bleed them into the guitar solo. This song really needed a solo because it's very electronic in nature. It needed something to bring the metal into it, and I believe the solo really did that. It's a song that has a lot of pop elements to it, specifically in the chorus, but that works well with the electronic sound, and it also works well from the perspective of making that chorus a little bit more memorable. Last but not least, Perfect Disaster. This is a song that the moment I listened to it, it really became obvious to me that it was a chorus-driven song. The chorus is the heartbeat of the song. Everything else is just there to keep it together. This song has, like I said, an absolute powerful chorus. It really resonates. It's simple. The overall song actually is very simple in the way it's structured and the way it's created, but even from a lyrical perspective, it's a very simple song. That is not a bad thing. The simplicity of this song is what it allows it to work. It makes the chorus hooky, it makes the chorus catchy, it makes it memorable. It makes also the melody that the song has. This song has incredible melody. It makes all that melody even more melodic, if that's even possible. But I have to go back to the chorus. The melody surrounding the vocals in the chorus and the way the vocals come at you in the chorus are absolutely magnificent. One of the biggest aspects of this song, one of the things that made me gravitate to this song, because the first time I heard it, I wasn't too much of a fan of this track, specifically the way the verses were built. But once the chorus came in, it's a song that really builds up to that chorus. Once the chorus came in, I was absolutely taken back. I was sold based on the chorus alone, based on the melody that the vocals had in the chorus, but the overall melody that the track had in the chorus, absolutely phenomenal. And then I was absolutely taken back by it, and I was completely taken and sold on this track. The chorus did it for me. All right, guys, this is it. This is Edge of Paradise Universe, out November 8 on Frontiers Music. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles that they've released. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those as always and getting back to you. Take care, guys.